Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
How you doing? This is the guy from Pittsburgh. No weird news tonight because I've been busy with shopping, cat feeding, cleaning up the bedroom. I got the right corner finally done. All the books are nicely stacked up. The boxes of computer games. Still got more to do in there, but I'm making progress to where it will be done by the 28th of February so I can prepare for my online radio show. And I want to tell you, I listened to George Noory's program with Deborah King, Demon Hunter, low energy person, and I want to tell you it was comedy palladium, not comedy rhodium, but getting there. And then he had this guy, Dr. Ted Brower, who said that dark forces and evil forces were poisoning our food, and yet he admitted at one point that he didn't know who was doing it. I'll talk about that one in my next video. So we got this for these two turkeys. And the cartoon mouse says, that's double laughs, double the fun, double your pleasure. Yes, Deborah King, former attorney, woke up one day with cancer. I usually wake up with a sinus headache, particularly when it's going to rain, which I had all night last night, all day this afternoon. So she's entangled in darkness, a high priestess of light, featured in media. Now, where does Noory find these people that you never heard of? What media? Are they on somebody's CD? Are they on somebody's coffee table on top of a CD? Is there a picture there? People you never heard of. Same with all these UFO shows. You never heard of any of these so-called experts that come out of the woodwork. She suffered from abuse. Well, I feel sorry for her. I know how that is. And she spirits out darkness. And Noory asked her, you're dealing with dark forces. And she says, where there's light, there's always going to be darkness. Well, duh. It's light in the daytime and it's dark in the evening. I don't have to be a parapsychologist to know that. Oh, another thing. Noory talked about the great late Sid Caesar. Great comedian, funny man. Broke his back filming It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Noory said one of the best. And then during the King interview, he says one of the best again. How many ones are there, Noory? So, but what broke me up, I'm listening to this on my iPhone, riding around Target, getting my groceries, and I was laughing so hard I almost crashed the electric wheelchair. She said there's three kinds of evil. The first are ETs. They're a lower form of evil, like an annoyance. They're little pieces of darkness, small bits of darkness like an amoeba. They cause colds, headaches, itching, and arguments. Well, I guess they're like extraterrestrial fleas. So the next time you or a family member to get abducted and they're sticking an anal probe you know where, just think they're just like an annoyance. They're just like fleas. And she says they're not that dangerous. Well, I don't know if the gray started coming for me and stalled out my car and turned off all the lights, and I was freaking out, and they dragged me into their spaceship and started probing me. I wouldn't think that's annoying. I don't know where this woman gets her ideas. And she said, oh, yeah, the grays are low-level problems. I'd hate to see what she says are high-level problems. Then she talks about entities. Entities come from human beings, and they have an odor. And Noory goes, what do you mean odor? Noory, it's an odor. You know, you don't go in the bathroom and get the Renewsit spray and start spraying out for demons or entities. I don't think it's going to work very well. So she says these things get drawn to they get drawn to things of energy, and Noory goes, almost like the zombie apocalypse. Hello, George! It's not real. The zombie apocalypse is not real, George. And zombies don't have anything to do with demons, as far as I know. They come from the movies. Oh, yeah, and a shout out to C-337 pilot, who says that he is leaving one of the boards out there. So I thought he asked me to say that. And how you doing, C-337, and how you doing, everybody? Every culture, including our own, like Rosemary's Baby, she says. Now, that was 1968. I haven't thought of Rosemary's Baby in 20 or 30 years. Movie creeped me out. But, you know, I haven't heard many of the Zunis, the Aztecs, the Hopi, the Cherokee, the Kiowa, the Comanche, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Sumerians talking about a baby with the head spinning around, or a baby in a crib sitting in a brownstone in New York, and I think they filmed that in John Lennon's building, but don't quote me. And she says when these guys show up, she gets out her oven mitts and a fire extinguisher. Well, let's see. I got books here on angels, but I haven't seen any. In case of demons, there's a fire extinguisher outside my apartment here and just break the glass. But I didn't know that in case of demons, I need to break out the fire extinguisher and go in my kitchen and get one of my oven mitts. So I'll have to remember that. And she says she used to stand back 30 or 40 feet. Well, if I saw a demon or an entity or a gray, I wouldn't be standing back 30 or 40 feet. Except for the grays, they seem to paralyze people. I'd be running like hell. And let's see, she had this woman fly in the private jet, and Deborah wasn't in alignment. She had a cold. And she says these demons and entities always get her, when she is in low energy mode. Well, I'm starting to wonder, she's in worse physical shape than I am. And I get my knee hurting and my stomach and heartburn and, my sinus problems. But right now I'm feeling pretty good overall. So she meets this woman and every hair on her body stood straight up. Well, you can do that from being out in the cold. You dive in a lake. You go in the air-conditioned store. And she knew right away she was dealing with possession. Well, if my hair stands straight up, I'm usually dealing with the fact that I'm cold. So I don't get that. And she said this woman's her eyes were shining bright. Or maybe the light got in her eyes from the airplane when she landed. And Deborah said she felt like jumping through a window. Well, if a demon were there, I might felt like jumping through a window too. So she says this woman has her eye surgery where her eyeballs were removed. And then the doctor, put the eyes back in. Well, last I heard, you couldn't remove the eyes. They had to be attached to the optic nerve. But he made a bigger hole in her eye sockets. So that freaked Noory out. And then she puts this woman on a massage table. Now, last I heard, there aren't any, Asian massage parlors for demons in San Francisco or the East Bay or San Rafael or up in Santa Rosa or L.A. I ain't seen no ads on the back page for demon massage parlors. She puts this woman on a massage table and pulls down her part of her dress or takes her shoes off. I never did figure out how she was looking at her feet, and claims she saw cloven hooves. Now, there are congenital diseases that swell your feet up. I've seen people with clubbed hands. There's a guy, he was in Aurora, Texas or somewhere, and he got the water out of the well that they cemented, and his hands were all messed up with arthritis. And I can't do it. They look kind of like this, and they were all deformed. Well, people's feet will get that way too, and they'll be split open because their skin cracks, the bones break open. They also have multiple toes or whatever, but they don't necessarily. They can look like cloven hooves too, but that doesn't mean they're possessed by demons. So she freaks out over this, and she never did say where the woman went after this. If she got back in the plane, if she stayed and waited for another masseur or masseuse, I don't know. So then she's in a classroom, and she's again got low energy. This woman, I got some one of those things, Centrum over here. I can send her some extra Centrum. Maybe she needs some one-a-day women's or something. She's always got low energy. I'd be afraid to be around this woman. She's a demon magnet. George asked that. They seek out the people with the light. Well, I got light too. I got a flashlight in here somewhere. I got a light right here in my computer. I don't see no demons seeking me out the last I heard, unless it's demons who make you gain weight. And speaking of which, I did something a little bit to be a little healthier. I got one on sale. I got an air popper, $13.99. So that will keep all the oil out of my popcorn. I love popcorn. And anyway, she has this student in her class, and the student is of Asian origin, and she's possessed by a ancient Chinese dragon entity. Now, you got the Chinese New Year parade. They got all kinds of dragons. And she doesn't go and give her an exorcism. She gives her a partial depossession. Is that like giving the dragon an eviction notice? But it's only good, you got a week to move out? So, partial depossession, she said it worked properly. Well, that's kind of weird. It's either a full depossession or it's a partial depossession. There's no middle ground. If you're not possessed anymore, you're not possessed. If it's a partial depossession, you're still possessed. The demon's still living inside of you. It's like the little cartoon critter from Mucinex. They make him leave, and he gets up in this swirling thing and goes up in the sky or something. So I don't get that. Then she said that we're not dealing with our own dark stuff like anger and jealousy and stuff like that. We have holes in our energy because of our dark moods. And Noory says, well, how often do you see these? She said at least more than one time a month. So darkness seeks her out. Well, I think if I were around this woman, I wouldn't be seeking her out. I'd be going somewhere else, preferably a clean, well-lighted place for books or an airport or an auditorium or a basketball stadium, football stadium, somewhere with really bright lights with a lot of iron, because demons don't like light and iron. But I was listening to this woman, and it's a wonder I didn't fall out of the wheelchair. I was laughing so damn hard. So I will deal with Noory's other guest in this two-part segment, and I never understand why he can't do a whole damn program talking about toxic foods. And he ran down this list of stuff, and I'm going, all these guys, you can't have coffee, you can't have wine, you can't have beef, you can't have salt, you can't have sugar, you can't have Splenda, you can't have aspartame. This guy was saying you can't have soy, you can't have bologna, you can't have pepperoni, you can't have salami. And I'm going like, why don't you just kill yourself? I mean, you can't, you had this whole list of stuff you can't eat. And, I got a banker, she's a vegetarian, and she tells me that every time. She's a sweetheart. I like her very much. Tells me everything. She's got a dog, and I guess the dog sits there and eats broccoli, whereas dogs and cats are not designed to eat vegetables. They're meat eaters. And I've never understood about vegetarians. They feed their dog microbitic rice or something. So I'll talk about this other guy. What was this guy's name? Hold on, man. I moved my notes here. Ted Brower. And he made this claim that unseen forces or dark companies are making all this toxic food stuff with sodium nitrates, but he didn't know who was doing it. He just know that they're doing it, which is really ridiculous. If this guy has an idea of what's going on, that he should have some proof of it. So this is a short one. I'll catch you next time. And, got my discussion board, getting ready for my live video, radio program, whatever you call it, the end of the month. And have a great weekend. Hope you had a great Valentine's Day. And the people back east are still getting hit with blizzards. I hope they dig themselves out, including some of my friends I've talked to online, and the Burnses, who are still having trouble with power and the snow. So I hope they're well, and the snow starts to melt for them too. It's been horrible back east. I really feel for them. Okay, this is the guy from Pittsburgh, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.